Welcome back. We can wait for another 1 minute for others to join in. Meanwhile, any question or any reflection, if anyone want to share so far? Right, Mayavi, you couldn't join the previous session, it seems. So we have started. And though much of the topics have not been touched, we are just exploring the background of the workshop. Yeah, Binal, you wanted to say something.
One reflection was that when you were sharing that how there is a threshold of pain that, a limit to which a structure can take. And beyond it, if it exceeds, then, for example, death is what is. Similarly, just as there is a limit for pain, there's a limit for pleasure, I think. And there would be a pleasure up to a certain point, and then how it gets converted into pain.
Yeah, that's why the satiation, the sense satiation is also a sensation. So that's why every organism do have a satiating point. There is a threshold of pleasure. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful observation. Right. So, guys, those who have joined newly for the first time this workshop, are you able to follow Prajakta, Shinjini, Manisha, both Manishas? Are you able to follow, or like language is very complicated or something like that? Yeah, Shinjini.
Yes, it's okay.
It's okay. Okay. Please raise your voice if it is uncomfortable and you want to dive deep. Otherwise, like definitely dropout is not restricted, and it's not possible also restricting. So, but if you are keen on going deep, but the language is uncomfortable, so let's work on that also. Simplification of the language. Ayushi, are you okay?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
So you said when the structure cannot pain, it becomes more than optimum. It collapses. Is the way to?
I'm unable to see anyone.
Yeah, and pleasure, when pleasure is satiated, then we become detached with it.
Yes, that's very much obvious. But there is a catch also, because human organism seemingly identified this phenomena of pleasure with some kind of extra conclusions. That pleasure happens to be an indicator of life. Why this pleasure and pain sensations are there at all within the organism? Because with these, the life moves on. Otherwise, there will be a stagnation in the life. For a stone, there is no seemingly pleasure and pain sensation. But for an organism, it is there, because the life is the extra thing that is there in the organism comparing to the stones. Are you able to comprehend this?
It needs blood. It'll go for blood. When it's got enough blood for its structure to come back to whatever it's designed to be, or for its structure to sustain. And once that's satiated, she's got enough blood, it'll be fine. It wouldn't go for more.
You're talking about mosquitoes?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's again a point of satiation, because there will be a limit of receiving blood. So let's also understand with this aspect with the food, the normal food that we consume. Well, this is a questionable thing whether mosquito at all needs this food or it's something else, because there are a lot of research on that. So let's understand eating food. When we are hungry, that time we are presented with a plate full of sweet fruits, we'll start enjoying it, pleasure. But after a certain time, when we are satiated, that time the same fruit is not tasty anymore. So it's a chemical composition that actually makes the food tasty, and that depends upon the kind of quantity that we need of the nutrients. This is as simple as that. This is through observation, this can be understood. Like how endlessly one cannot eat. So why one stops eating? Because of the satiation, because of the stoppage of pleasure. So there is a threshold of pleasure, and then if we continue, then the pain initiates. Pleasure gets converted into pain, and pain structurally restricts us to continue. But if we continue with it, then actually it becomes a natural thing to continue. So what happens if we continue the pleasure, extend the stretching of pleasure? Then what happens? The pain structurally is happening, but this morphed pleasure is overlapping it and suppressing the pain. So both toll is happening on the body, because for pleasure and pain, we need energy. Without energy, we cannot experience pleasure and pain. So that is why there has to be a limited pleasure and limited pain to continue. Otherwise, the energy will exhaust. So we were talking about the collapsing. Why it happens? Because the pain consumes a lot of energy. If we continue with the pain and the pain intensity is also increasing, that means the energy is being captured more and more. So there will be an exhaustion of energy. That's why the collapsing happens. Are you able to comprehend this?
Yes. I get it. Yeah.
Right. So basically what we are doing, that thing only is written, observing the sensation, observing the root of the sensation also. Route and root both, like the way it is coming and from where it is coming. So that could be kind of loosely structured objective of this journey.
Sir, could you please repeat the bit about energy, what you said about energy?
Yes, exhaustion of energy.
When you were talking about threshold of satiation,
Yes.
and there's, how were you linking it with energy? Yeah.
So for enjoying something, suppose we are enjoying the pleasure. That's what we are structured to. So we are enjoying pleasure. How are we enjoying? We are using energy to enjoy. Energy is needed to do any bits and pieces activities of life. Even blinking of eyes also need energy. Even blinking of eyes also need energy.
Yes.
The same way the pleasure needs energy, pain also needs energy. If the pleasure is increased, energy engagement also is increased. If the pain is increased, then also energy engagement increases. Now, what happens when we undergo a stimulated pleasure? When we undergo a stimulated pleasure, that includes suppression of pain also. Like the 8th mango is painful, but if we spice it up and consume that 8th mango, then the pain will definitely happen and the stimulated pleasure is enjoyed. So in both ways, it is a double toll on the energy. Whenever we stimulate a pleasure, there will be a suppressed pain also, which needs energy because it is sustaining. Are you able to come?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
So these are few topics that we'll touch today, which are bold in color. Energy and its distribution, which is already started. The conversation about energy is already started. Then we'll understand the domains of existence. The existence, every existence has got three domains in particular. So that categorization of three domains are kind of tentative, but to give a language to our understanding, those three domains will be discussed. Yeah, Binal, you unmuted in between. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I have a doubt in this regard that if pleasure is also, at the expense of energy,
Yes.
then say when I'm hungry and I'm having, say, a mango, the first mango in keen hunger,
Yes.
one is the energy required in terms of the digestion of it, but wouldn't it be conserving energy in that sense? Because I am.
Yes. Yes. It's a balancing that is
So-
happening end of the day, because the hunger also will deplete. Hunger is another sensation that is also depleting energy. So always the body will try to attain the homeostatic state. Because of this hunger sensation, which was needing energy, eating up the energy, we end up eating. And eating also needs energy. Now the energy needed to eat is much lesser than the hunger energy depletion. So that's how it is being compensated that way, and body is coming to a balanced state of being. It's a like sine curve.
Yeah.
Continuous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will
So
you
we'll-
please explain it?
Which one? This,
The last one.
what was that? Binal, could you please?
I think it's this dance of pleasure and pain where one
The
is
comparison, the
of a,
lesser and higher, that comparison.
Okay. Okay.
so the keen hunger, yeah.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Go ahead. Binal, please go ahead.
So I think the pain from the hunger is overpowering the pleasure that's received from the first, for example, that first mango, and then it gets, and the energy required in digestion of that mango is much less than the energy that gets depleted because of the keen hunger. So, and over a period of, then I would say reach out for the second mango, then again, that pain from that hunger would now be reduced, and the energy required, there would come a time when the energy required in the digestion of the mango would then be much more than the initial pain that was there, and therefore then a point of self-regulation would kick in where we would then stop having the mango.
Thank you. Shilpi, you unmuted. You wanted to say something?
No, I think Binal has explained it quite beautifully.
Optimally.
Yeah, optimally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll understand the domains of existence and domains of execution also. So if we are bifurcating the existence into domains, then respective execution needs to be understood. Like the domains of existences will be physical, physiological, and psychological. P1, P2, P3. P1 is physical, P2 is physiological, P3 is psychological. Now, for P1, there is some execution, which is like I'm moving my hand, is execution of its physical existence. So physical existence is visible under our spectrum. Now the movement is the execution of that existence. Now physiological existence is not visible, but I can sense it. If I keep it for a longer period, then there will be a pain sensation within the body. That means there will be a chemical change, physiological chemical change within the body, which will be the execution of physiological domain. We'll understand that at the depth. And then there will be an understanding on awareness of all these aspects, that one should not keep this hand like this for a longer period. It will create pain. So next time one will be observant about it, not to keep that long the hand raised. So that way it moves on, So then the natural sequencing also will understand that P1, P2, P3, how it gets connected, and the conflicting sequencing also today we'll explore. Then characteristics of conflicts also, the types of conflicts that happens action wise, sensation wise, and perception wise. And then the impact of conflicts on our health and overall existence and state of being. So let's start them. Before we go into the energy understanding, let's understand two opposites in terms of different perceptory angles. Two opposites, natural and unnatural. The truth, according to the truth, the natural and unnatural things are something which happens on its own is natural. If it is not happening on its own, but conditioned to happen in certain way, then it is unnatural, according to the truth lens. Now, there is something called statistical truth we propose as human beings, that these many people are doing this way, even if it is unnatural, then we start calling that as normal. Even if it is unnatural, but statistically it is being executed by a mass of people, then we start calling that as a normal. Because as a species, we get an endurance with that unnatural activity. Because that's a pattern of existence. Existence always try accommodating as much as possible, optimally. And even if it is natural, but happening in a minuscule number, then we start calling this as abnormal. So I think in this journey of exploring nature, we experience these terms. So statistics is something coined by human being. It's nothing but a mass opinions. It's a collection of opinions. Now, in opinions, we have these two terms, two opposites, good and bad, which actually overlaps with the experience of sensation that we'll understand. And that's somewhat confusing, because otherwise also we are structured to experience something pleasurable and painful. And we start calling the pleasure as good and pain as bad. Otherwise, in nature, there is no discrimination. These are just indicators to support the life. From the truth lens, there is no difference between pleasure and pain. But under the opinion lens, we started terming pleasure as good and started stimulating it because it is good. I have opinionated that it is good. And something which is painful is bad, that also becomes an opinion. So painful is rejectable, is a fact. That's the truth lens. But pain is bad, that's an opinion. Are we all with it? Or am I just singly speaking?
Kalyan sir,
Yes, ma'am.
why does human being have a desire to extend pleasure?
Because of the complications of neurons, neurons actually, so this neurological structure of organism actually facilitates the life, and in that journey, human being actually gets confused with the facilitation and facilities. Facilitation and facilities. Facilitation is an emergence. Are you able to comprehend?
No. What is the difference? I don't know.
Facilitation is an emergence, like the pleasurable substance is needed to eat something, to provide some nutrients. This pleasure sensation is facilitation.
Okay.
Now, if we create taste, that's not a facilitation, that's a facility creation. And that facility creation is coming from the imagination side, that this is tasty, that means that this has nutrients, and for that we create logics. We create lot of lab logics that this particular taste has got these nutrients. That also came out of a human designed and developed lab. So natural indication is the taste is very important to identify and contain the nutrient. That's a fact. Now we have mutilated this fact because of the neural growth and complications. And this is not out of pride that we are proposing, but this is a fact that we are trying to understand, because human being is the only species which has changed this planet havocly. Now we are not bringing an opinion here that this is a disastrous thing and all those stuff, but evidently that we see that the kind of changes that even the birds also like manufacture their nest. So is human manufactured factories and the houses, bungalows. So there's no disastrous or these kind of terms, but the kind of change that has been overwhelming this planet, that's something which indicates that this particular species has got a complicated neuron, and which actually is reflected with these kind of executions. Now again, when the individuals are becoming, the human is becoming aware, maybe it's not huge in number, but understanding this aspect and then understanding the pleasure and all those stuff, that is also an evolution of the same neural structure. So we cannot term that this neural structure itself is a bad thing that way. You understand?
The bird's nest is a necessity, but
Yes.
what human beings are doing, it takes it to a luxury kind of thing.
Yes.
Necessity would fulfill by a small hut also.
Yes. That's what the facilitation and the facilities. We are overwhelmed with the facilities.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
forgot the facilitation. So
Okay.
now under the truth, statistics and opinions, these are the things in relation to the experiences. There is a spectrum of experiences for all the organism. Spectrum of experiences means, like in case of light, human being can only observe from violet to red, VIBGYOR. Ultraviolet and infrared cannot be seen by human being. So this is called spectrum. So every organism does have the spectrum of experience. That's the truth. Now, there is something called stimulated experience, that I don't see ultraviolet, but with some measurement, I can see now ultraviolet. And I start concluding something based on that. That's a natural progression of stimulating the experience. An experience, when it is not natural, but conditioned, it is called stimulated experience. And when it is statistically established, it is justified as normal. When it is statistically established. So first we coined a term called diabetes. And then we coined something to overcome diabetes. And it is applied for a number of periods. And then it is documented as a research. So we started with the stimulated experience, we concluded something, and we are terming that as a problem. Then we are bringing another imaginary solution to it. At the first place, the problem was imaginary. Now the solution proposed is obviously an imaginary, but it is documented in a statistical format and proposed as a justified progression of human being. So concluding an experience is not a natural knack whatsoever. Concluding an experience. So we'll go very simple small things like mango is tasty. So mango is tasty, that could be a fact for human being. But the next piece of mango that you are picking up, that cannot be concluded before it is actually tasted as tasty. There is a possibility of being tasty. Are you able to understand the difference between these conclusions and inquisition? When we are inquisitive about it, perennially inquisitive about it. Let me see, previous mango was tasty, but whether this mango is tasty or not, let me see it. That's a non-concluded experience and a flow of life.
But supposing we have tasted 100 mangoes, and now we know all mangoes are supposed to have a sweet taste, so they're all tasty.
Beautiful.
If,
101st mango could be a rotten mango.
But in general, the characteristic of mango is sweet, and I
Yes.
like that. I can conclude that, no?
If you conclude that and it becomes a rotten mango, then what would you do? You will
Rotten
be
is not,
shocked.
it's not its inherent structure. It's
That's okay. That's okay. But if we go ahead with conclusion that definitely this 101st mango is a tasty mango. That's what is the conclusion, right? There is a possibility of being a tasty mango. The difference between the inquisition, that's not a guarantee. Let the 1,000 mangoes are tasty. 1,001st mango also needs to be vetted out. Then only it could be experienced as tasty. Then we can go further deeper, whether we can conclude that also or not.
I don't know, sir, but these days the fruits I'm getting, each one tastes so different. Some of them are sweet, some of them are not sweet.
And that's
So
a fact.
yeah, it's
That's a fact, actually. If those are tasty, suppose all the 100 mangoes are tasty, but if we see deeply, then there will be difference in the taste also. Difference in the taste of two mangoes coming from the same tree. Difference
Yeah.
between two bites coming from the same mango.
Yes,
These are there.
absolutely. Yeah.
So can we be observing these all tiny little things, deep things? That's what is perhaps inquisition.
But Kalyan, that would depend on the person eating the mango. Like, I'm thinking, if I give it to my husband, he'll say, "Acha hai, usme alag kya hai? Acha hai,"
Yeah.
So, and I would feel कि ये थोड़ा खट्टा ज़्यादा है, ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा flavorful ज़्यादा है, इसमें खुशबू ज़्यादा है. I might look at it like that, but somebody else might say, mango, sweet, tasty, khadam. There are no 5 different variations of flavor भी आएगा, उसमें इसमें flavor ज़्यादा कम कुछ नहीं. So I'm just thinking aloud that
fact क्या है?
It depends on the receiver also, no?
Yes. That's what is the opinion that we discussed, like the fact is something else. Fact is that the uniqueness of each and every moment. That's a fact. Be it a biting of a mango or seeing a movie or seeing an individual or seeing a mountain. Every moment is fresh. That's a fact. It is because of our lacuna in perceiving the things, we miss out the freshness. Actually, the things are fresh every moment. But because of the impression, previous impression, which had been concluded in our mind, we stopped perceiving the freshness of the moments.
Or also something that happens, I'm just thinking about this, that for example, if I'm traveling, I'm in the Himalayas somewhere, or in Leh Ladakh, for example. It's beautiful. It's stunning. The weather is lovely. I'm so happy that I'm there. And I get a call that my mother's seriously ill and I need to go back. nothing is looking nice to me right now for that moment. I just want to go back to mom. So our perceptions change from every second, not only with the perception of what our memory comes up with, or we compare also, no, sometimes that I like this place better than that, or I like this mango better than that, or whatever. But also what happens in those particular moments also, no, that now if I get this news and I have to rush back, the most beautiful place on earth that I'd been to feels like ये तो मुझे कुछ दिख ही नहीं रहा है उधर.
Yeah, that happens. So what? The truth is, there is no difference between the slum of Mumbai and Leh Ladakh. The kind of picture that we paint in our mind about any special thing whatsoever, a place or any individual, somebody is special, is just our imagination. Everything is unique, but there is the speciality that we create psychologically. And we suffer from that creation of speciality in our psyche. That actually created an impression that the Leh is a special place and it's so beautiful. And I got overwhelmed at the first place because of my imagination. Reaching at the Leh, I get overwhelmed. That's a framework of imagination that I went with. Now, after getting the information of my mother's death, for which I have to rush back, that's a physical fact, but the kind of unsettling state of mind will happen when I have an impression in my mind that the death is a bad thing. Death mustn't happen. At least for my relatives, it mustn't happen. So the frameworks are same, and we are going to explore that framework, that particular framework with which we get overwhelmed, we get sad. All these things actually operates in the same framework. In the same framework comes from an imagination and started believing that imagination as fact, which is actually non-fact. Right, Srikanth, can you please switch on your video? I'm not sure if we have met earlier. Srikanth, are you there? Yes, sir. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Kalyan.
Hi, sir. So, are you able to follow somewhat?
Yes. I can follow.
Follow means comprehend. Yeah.
I got this link from one of my acquaintances recently. I think a couple of days before. So that's how I got to know.
Who is that person?
I didn't remember. It's been.
Okay. It's just forward. Right. Great.
May not be forward. Remember. Yeah. So,
where are you from, sir?
Close. I'm from Bangalore.
Okay, Bangalore. Right. Great to have you. So I think you missed the previous session. So that was a kind of intro that has happened, but yeah, you may see the recording, watch the recording later on.
Sure.
Share the link. Right. Do you experience tiredness, sir?
Definitely, yeah, I experience it.
Is there anyone who doesn't sense tiredness in this group? Mayavi doesn't sense tiredness.
No, I sense tiredness, but I sense it very rarely, and after doing a lot of physical activity or mental activity, then I feel that I'm.
So
I get tired.
let's rejoin the session. There is a blink for a few seconds that is left for this session. So we are joining the sessions with the same link. with the 5 minutes of silence at the beginning. So one may use this period for bio break or be in the silence and reflect upon. Thank you. Let's rejoin.